right, welcome in. Wrong side of the pond. World Cup special, number 3, and sadly, this was the last one that we got to record on Fountain Square. U.S. falling to Belgium, 2-1. It was an awesome time. I only got to go to 2 of them because of prior commitments I had going on, so I was at this one, and of course I was at the Ghana match to start everything off. Crowds were fantastic. I even missed the best one, which was that Portugal match on Sunday. I was in a wedding that day, but close to 8,000 were at that one. Really, really spectacular showing. Not just at Fountain Square, but also there were big showings at the American Outlaws, local here in Cincinnati. Their local watch party at a bar in northern Kentucky. They had 1,000 plus, all 4 showings. So the U.S. run is up, but that just means that now, as much as we still focus on and enjoy what is left of the World Cup, our attention, at least here on this podcast, start to already look on the horizon. We are 5 weeks out from the Community Shield, and that means we're only 6 weeks out from the start of the season. So just around the corner, the Premier League season ready to pop off once again. We'll have some preview episodes coming up, hopefully, as we get into August. We'll try to get ourselves ready for a new season, talk about all the transfer changes, talk about all of the excitement for certain clubs and question marks for other clubs. We'll preview the whole season coming up. We will also we want to do something a little different because I've noticed it so much on Facebook. In fact, I'm reading a guy on Facebook, Jeff Wallner, who's a local sports writer here. I was just reading his Facebook timeline. A lot of people have been swept up by this World Cup and the U.S. run, and they want in on the real action. A lot of people are excited for the first time about the Premier League season coming up. So we want to talk about the whole, how do you pick your team? What, as an American, unless you have some kind of family or travel relationship with a part of England, or Wales for that matter, you don't really have a whole lot to go on to just say this is going to be my team. And a lot of people choose teams for a lot of different reasons. A lot of people, I notice a lot of people like to go into it, and while some are quick to jump to the Man U's and the Man Cities and the Arsenals and the Chelseas of the world and the Liverpools of the world, they are reluctant to jump on these bigger bandwagons, and they're kind of looking for that gem. And that's when you see a lot of people jumping on the Tottenhams and the Evertons of the world. So it's pretty interesting, and we want to kind of go into how people make those decisions. How do we recommend people making those decisions? So that's something to look forward to as we get ready to start the 2014-2015 EPL season. So going to be pretty awesome. I say that as we get ready to wrap the final match for the Cincinnati Saints. For DJ and I, we've had a blast calling the matches this year, and we look forward to all the things going on with that and all the momentum that the Saints and just soccer in general in our city have had from the World Cup. So, about the live portion we have here, once again, is the audio amazing? No, it's really not. There's portions where it's hard to hear. It's probably better than the first time, but there's still some roughness to it. So bear with it. It's pretty interesting, I guess. We kind of just we open the show, we get people ready. as the crowd is filing in there on Fountain Square and get people ready for the match. Kind of preview the lineups, obviously. I wouldn't say a shock lineup, but it was a lineup that was thrown out for the U.S. that definitely had a lot of talking points to it. So we went over that. We went over, just kind of previewed the Belgium side. I mean, you're talking about a lot of fans that just don't know too much outside of the U.S. men's national team. They follow that. They get excited for that. Belgium is not exactly the everyday juggernaut that the Germany, Spain, Italy, whatever, Argentina, Brazils of the world. So, as far as name recognition to the average sports fan, Belgium had 0. But to a lot of us, that follow the EPL and follow Champions League and the Liga and whatever, we know that this team was absolutely packed full of stars. Third most expensive roster as far as their club contracts went. So pretty interesting. This is apparently the golden generation for Belgium. They showed it. They put Timmy Howard to the ultimate test, and he just about passed with flying colors. Ended up getting done in extra time. Kevin De Bruyne, or is it De Bruyne? I feel like that pronunciation changes on a weekly basis. But he's not at Chelsea anymore, so I guess I don't have to worry about it too much. And then a guy who we're not sure if he's part of Chelsea or not, Romelu Lukaku, Howard's own buddy at Everton, does him dirty. But Julian Green's goal, pretty spectacular. I tried to find the audio, but I guess our audio, we tried to catch audio of the crowd the whole time. Did not find it. I don't think our audio lasted that long. I think it dipped out somewhere pretty much right when the second half of extra time started. So we missed that one. I can say from being there that the crowd really did get up on their feet and freaking out what was left of it, because when that second goal came in by Lukaku, play started to empty out, which was unfortunate. And they all missed a great goal by Julian Green and a near comeback. And so let's go ahead and play it. I've already talked for like 8 minutes, which is pretty stupid because I'm just supposed to be introing the actual podcast itself. So without further ado, here it is. This is our opening to U.S. v. Belgium.
All right, everybody. How we doing today? Welcome, Cincinnati. That wasn't a very good intro. Let's try that again. One more time. One more time. Welcome, Cincinnati. That's much better. Much better. So my name's DJ Schweitzer. I'm Jeremy Lance. We are from the Cincinnati Saints. We have a booth right over there. We're the ones that helped put this on, along with our friends at Hoist and the people here at 3CDC. And your sign just fell over. That's a good start. So we're also from wrongsideofthepond.com. We have a podcast, a nice website. We're based out of Cincinnati. If you're old enough to go to bars, we have a nationwide soccer bar directory, so you can find a place to watch anywhere. Yeah. Figure it out. You might be able to get in. Either way, we want to talk a little bit to you guys all about the game that's about to go on up here in a couple minutes. So who's here excited to see a victory today? Who is not afraid of Belgium? None of the people down at Taste of Belgium back there seem to raise their hands. They just kind of just stood there. Either way. So we're excited to have you guys all back out. This is our 4th match so far of the World Cup, which is awesome. Glad to have another crowd out today. But we also want to get into a little bit of the specifics that are going to go on up there today, right? So yeah, we're just going to sit here, we're going to get a little pregame. You can listen to us, or you can just go drink some beer. It is your choice. Or both. Preferably both. We're drinking a beer as well. So let's start off with what we're seeing out of this U.S. lineup today, because I think that's a good place to start with what's going on. If you guys have not seen the lineup for today, it's looking a bit different. No Kyle Beckerman. Weird. Josie Altidore healthy. He is not starting. Is he really healthy? We're told I don't know if he's been eating a bunch of horse placenta to get ready. so that he can play. That's the thing these days. That is what, I don't know if you eat it or if it's a topical. You could rub it on whatever. So, okay. Yeah, but he's not in the starting 11. That's really not that surprising. I think they were probably playing some games there. You know, wanting to make sure that they wanted to get people excited that Josie was healthy and, hey, maybe he could play. But I think we all knew Josie starting was pretty unlikely. Yeah, it was very unlikely. I mean, although desirable, unlikely. Yeah, I mean, hamstrings are tough ones to come back from. So obviously, yeah, and he blew that tire. I think that was Jurgen trying to mess with the Belgians a little bit. Hey, we're going to have Josie Altidore. Fake out. We don't have Josie Altidore. Well, they don't have Lukaku apparently. Yeah. But let's actually get into the lineup that was out there today, because there were some changes. Not exactly what we saw last time out, or even the match before that. Sure, it's almost been different every time out. And looking at the reaction, we've been watching the Twitter stream go by here for the last little bit, and people look disgruntled. There's a little bit of anxiety that it's not what they've been traditionally going with for the group stages. So let's go with it. Howard, obviously, in goal. Our back line looks like. Yeah, we have Johnson, Gonzalez, Beasler, and Beasley. So not too different. We're not seeing... Gonzalez played great. Yeah, Gonzalez did play great after kind of being responsible almost for some goals earlier in the tournament. He really came out of the gates last time on fire. Yeah. Was a solid addition to the back line. So he's a deserved member back there. But the back line's not really where a lot of the questions are coming into play. No, the back line is pretty much standard fare for the most part. Then we get to the midfield... And things change. Yeah, that's where things really change up. So right now what we're looking at is Jeff Cameron, a man who as recently as, 2 matches ago was playing in the back. He's actually starting in the midfield. This is a role we've seen him thrive in before, though. Yeah, I mean, he essentially got demoted, though, from that Portugal match where they just did not think he showed enough. Right. And they pulled him for that Germany match. But he's still starting, so it's not exactly a huge demotion. It was a one-day demotion that's now over. But he's starting in the midfield, probably going to be holding alongside of Jermaine Jones in the back. Then, easily, Jermaine Jones has been the best player the U.S. has had so far. Anyone agree with us out there? Maybe? Jermaine Jones? We got some claps there, yeah. I think Jones has really proven some of his doubters wrong. I mean, he's been a guy that some people have thought, hey, he's just a convert, he's not really in it for us. And I don't think that's the case at all. Well, one of the things a lot of people got worried about with Jones is he is a yellow card waiting to happen. They just said it there on ESPN. This guy, we figured by this point, would probably have 2 yellows and not be playing in this match. But not only he's shown restraint, he's shown poise on the ball. The guy tried to choke him in the Ghana match, and he didn't do anything. Is this the Jermaine Jones that we've had all along? It's not the Jermaine Jones I know. Yeah, either way. So we've got Jones and Cameron. They're going to be our defensive kind of holding pair, sitting behind Bradley. I think everyone's going to agree Bradley's probably had a subpar tournament by Bradley's standards, right? Yeah. But I think it's important to note as well, he's actually played really well on the defensive side of things. No player in the entire tournament ran more than Michael Bradley did in those first 3 matches. Literally no one. The stats are out. That's actually what happened. And I think it's important to know that he's got 2 roles to play, and against teams that are better than us, and I'm doing air quotes around better than us a little bit, you need a guy who's going to be willing to put in that type of effort. His offensive game suffered for that reason. Wasn't quite as good on the ball, didn't possess as well as he used to. So hopefully we'll see a little bit of jump and play for him today. Hopefully, yeah. I mean, he's playing a different role than he's normally playing in general. Mm-hmm. For the most part of the tournament, he was playing this role where he had to be more of the offense, more of that last pass instead of the setup pass to get the offense going downfield. Yeah, absolutely. So we covered the midfield now. Let's talk about what's going on up front. So who's up top? No Altidore, as we've already talked about. Yeah. But what we're seeing is a front 3. So we are kind of playing a 4-3-3, roughly. We've seen some other people try to explain it other ways. Someone said a 4-5-1. Yeah. I think is entirely maybe. I mean, it just depends on what the moment is. But we've got Zusi, Dempsey, and Bedoya. So Dempsey's going to be your central man. He's still going to be running point, but we're going to see him switch it up quite a bit. I think we'll see some flip-flopping between the front 3 to try and mix up that Belgium back line. I think we will. I mean, we saw that even in the Germany match. They kept swapping ends. Yeah, but I think the question mark there, at least for me, was Zusi, because I don't think he's really done a whole lot. He set up that Dempsey goal. Yeah. Where he groined it in. Yeah, that's true. Groined it in against Portugal. So we're going to look for a little bit more production out of him today. Hopefully we'll see that. So with this U.S. team, I think the key point that we need to think about is we actually need to attack. Because when we sit back, we don't tend to do as well.
Oh, we absolutely need to just go for it on this one.
And I think the reason why we can explain that is by using the Germany game as an example. So Germany, we sat in against them, right?
We packed it in.
We packed it in. And Germany dictated the flow, and we didn't really generate as many opportunities.
I think it took 2 minutes for us to touch the ball.
Yeah, and I think if we bring that attacking flair, much the way that we saw Algeria do against Germany yesterday, when you actually run at a good team, it forces them to actually adjust a little bit. So hopefully we'll see this U.S. side attack. Hopefully we'll actually see them come out with some confidence and actually run at this Belgium team. Because otherwise, if we let this Belgium team, and we're going to get into their starting 11 here in just a minute.
This is a run-and-gun team.
This is a team that can inflict massive damage. So we don't want them to dictate.
Well, let's go with that. They did inflict a lot of damage on this U.S. side in a 4-2 victory a year ago, just up north in Cleveland.
Right. So I went up to that match. And
Sorry about that.
Yeah, it was a bloodbath. I mean, honestly.
Belgium could have been 100-0.
Belgium played us off the pitch. And not only that, but we're looking at a second-string Belgium side. We didn't have Hazard. We didn't have Company. We were missing a couple of their midfielders that have been so crucial for them this match. But the U.S. side, while they were, didn't quite have their full starting 11. We were missing some of the European-based players. It was really a Belgian side that knew what they were doing and they knew how to attack us.
So going into the World Cup, Belgium was the dark horse for a lot of people.
Right.
And for good reason. I mean, this is a side full of a lot of young attacking talent that has been tearing up the European leagues.
Yeah, I mean, so let's get into the starting 11 because it's worth talking about. So in goal for Belgium is Courtois. A man who's owned by Chelsea but has been playing for Atletico Madrid, has been spectacular for them for the last 2 seasons. Great player. Then you look at their back line. So we have Tony Alderweireld, Vincent Kompany from Manchester City, then Boyton, Vertonghen from my Spurs. And it's a really stiff back line, especially with Kompany coming back into the 11. He missed the last 2 matches. He's a vital, probably the best center back in the world right now.
Of the 4 teams they've faced, is this the best back line that the U.S. will see?
Easily.
Okay.
Easily. And definitely a back line that has pace, too, which is not something we've really faced.
They faced against Germany, it was 4 center backs.
Yeah. So we're now looking at a back line that can not only defend intelligently, they're quick, but they can also attack, and all 4 of them can attack. So there's threats there. Let's get into that midfield because this is where things start getting really scary. So first up is Alex Witsel.
Very good.
A man who's got a big afro, not quite as big as another man we're about to talk about.
Second best afro on the team.
Second best afro to Marouane Fellaini. You guys will probably know him from Manchester United.
Where he sucked.
But at Everton, he was magnificent. He's going to be a huge threat in the air. So he's something that the U.S. is going to have to watch on every single set piece. And then we have Kevin De Bruyne. So De Bruyne, a former Chelsea man, recently departed for German waters.
The whole team is a former Chelsea man.
Yeah, just about everyone is. But De Bruyne was the man who actually shredded the U.S. team up in Cleveland last summer. So keep an eye on the redhead. He's really going to cause us trouble throughout this match. Then we get into that front 3. And the front 3 is just as dangerous as what we saw in that midfield. So we have Mertens, we have Origi, and we have probably the most dangerous man on the field, one of your favorites.
My favorite player at Chelsea, Eden Hazard.
So
muscle memory will have to go with
if Hazard shows up today and is playing at the best of his ability, we're going to have loads of problems. So isolating him is going to be a very important aspect of this.
But here's the thing. They played in a weaker Group H. They got their 9 points, but would you say that they were, in all 3 matches, or in any of those matches, superior, dominant, and clicking on all cylinders?
No.
I really think for as good as this Belgian side is on paper, they have not shown it. So they could do it today, but so far, it's not been there.
So I think a counterpoint to that is they didn't play well in any of those matches, right?
No, they didn't score till late on in every single one.
And that's the point I'm trying to make. They played poor, but they still found a way to win, which is the way that teams end up going far in tournaments.
Sure.
So, yes, they haven't played well. They're still going to be very dangerous, but this is a beatable Belgium side.
I would say so.
So I think it's time we should probably offer up some predictions, maybe.
Is it prediction time already?
It is. It's that time of the pod. So I don't know if we want to start with you, and then we'll get to me, and then we'll actually bring up the owner of the Cincinnati Saints, Dave Satterwhite. He's back here chatting away, so we'll get him up here in a minute. But
is it Silver? We don't know.
Yeah, he's here. So let's start off with you, Jeremy.
Okay, I'm going to go outside of the box a little bit. I'm going to say this is going to be an absolute shootout of a match, not an actual shootout taking place, but a shootout of a match. I say 3-2 USA wins.
3-2 USA wins. That's Jeremy. All right. So I'm going to stay with what we're kind of expecting with what we've done so far in a lot of these matches, and we've seen loads and loads of extra time. Like no goals. It's been dry on that front. Teams are playing, I wouldn't say cautiously, but they have been not taking their chances.
No.
And I expect that we'll see that again. So I'm going to go with a 1-0 win for the U.S. in added time.
I don't know if my heart can handle that, but okay.
I know. I don't think any of us will be able to handle it. In this heat, we don't need any of that extra stress.
I'm a guy who knows how to own things.
Yeah, so we're going to get another prediction here from Dave Satterwhite. If he wants to come and chat with us here in a minute. No, he doesn't really want to chat, but we're going to make him do it. So let's put a round together for David Satterwhite. He's the man who made all this happen. So thank you.
Get this on together, David Satterwhite, the owner of the Cincinnati Saints, people.
So, I like that guy. Yeah, this guy's good.
This is our best guy.
Great hat. So, Dave, we're getting predictions in here. I don't know if you would be willing to hazard a prediction for us here. And I'm not saying that to reference the man that's probably going to terrorize us a bit today. But what do you think is going to actually happen?
I'd probably have to say it's going to be tough. Belgium's awesome. They're really good. I'm predicting 2-1 U.S.
2-1 U.S. You going to go into added time?
Why not? Every other game has. So.
Yeah. All right. So 2-1. So we got 3 U.S. wins. No one, except for those people back from the waffle shop, think that Belgium are going to win, and we're fine with that unless there's some other Belgians back there.
Hey, we still love your food.
It's great. It's not only nice waffles. I want a waffle still. So outside of this, Dave, what have you really thought so far of the crowds we've had out here for the events on Fountain Square?
The crowds have been amazing. This was my hope to show the city what it's like to be in a real soccer match, what it's like to be in a World Cup. I've been to one. I'm assuming most people here have not, since the last World Cup in the U.S. was in '94. But the goal is to show the city that there is a soccer market here, and obviously from the turnouts, we had 5,000 the first game, 8,000 the second game, we had 4,000 for a lunchtime game, and now
starting to fill up.
I mean, it's getting pretty close to the 4,000 mark now, is what it looks like. So. This has been phenomenal, and Cincinnati surprised me even more than I could ever imagine.
Excellent. So we're not here just, of course, to talk about the World Cup. We want to talk a little bit about the Cincinnati Saints. There is soccer that happens in this city on a professional level outside of on TV screens. So we want to remind everyone of that.
You guys can go check out the booth, Cincinnati Saints booth right over there. Check it out. We got one last home match for the men.
You can find your way into some matches with some discounted tickets. You can pick one of those up
discounted
towards the back. You can get in for a very low dollar amount, like $2. I think that's a deal. So definitely come out. Check out the Cincinnati Saints. I think this is a testament to the soccer crowd and soccer family that we have here in the city. I mean, we've had amazing responses, huge crowds, not just here, but all over the city. Bars, restaurants, people's houses. It's been spectacular. So we want to see more of that, obviously. Hey, these guys are drowning us out. We'll get to your cheer in a minute. We'll get to it in a minute. But with that said, Dave, thank you very much for putting all this on. It's been great to have the opportunity to come out here and talk in front of all these people. And thank you very much.
No problem. It's been great having you guys out here. So.
All right, let's give it up one more time. David Satterwhite, Cincinnati Saints.
Someone give that kid a mic.
Yeah, right?
This kid's awesome.
So, Jeremy, there have been some other things that have gone down in this World Cup.
There has.
I think
someone was bitten.
Someone was bitten. A man was actually bitten by a Luis Suarez. That's pretty regular at this point.
Another adult male.
Yeah. We've also seen some incredible upsets. Who have been your upsets of the tournament so far?
I mean, you gotta love Costa Rica's story.
And CONCACAF love.
Just CONCACAF love in general. As much as we don't want to root for Mexico. As much as we don't want to root for Mexico, CONCACAF love. We love them all.
Mexico almost pulled it off. They almost pulled it off.
Should have won.
So it's been a fabulous tournament. I think another storyline that's making a lot of headway today has been the fact that there may have been match fixing in this World Cup.
Apparently Cameroon match fixing in the bad way, in the we're going to lose on purpose.
Yeah.
He would not appreciate that. He at least tried to win the games he bet on.
If I'm going to bet on something, you may as well try to win. But I think it's incredible that we've seen match fixing make it this far. I mean, we talked about it in lower leagues. We've seen it expand upwards. And now we're talking about it in freaking World Cups, which is just mind-blowing. So the minute that I saw Alex Song do a running away from a man, open-handed punch on someone's back, you knew something fishy was going on there. So
it is a bit dubious.
I think this has been an incredible World Cup. Loads of goals, all sorts of action. It's just been a fabulous affair, and you guys have been a huge part of it here in Cincinnati. We're glad to have everyone out. So we'll be back at halftime.
That's right.
We'll talk a little bit about what transpires in that first half.
Give it up for this guy right here.
Yeah, this guy with the vuvuzela.
Check out this guy with the vuvuzela down in front.
He's as loud or louder than these cats over here who keep trying to steal our attention. That's fine.
Yeah, the American Outlaw Junior program over there.
But that's fine. So we'll be back at halftime. Enjoy the match. Let's go, U.S.
Thumbs up, thumbs up.
Yeah.
I would not do it.
All right, so that was the first half. Obviously, that could have gone a lot better. U.S. pressed the whole time. Tim Howard even mentioned at one point afterwards that he just kept looking at the clock and at one point just figured it must be broken because it just wasn't moving fast enough. U.S. survived the first half. They'll obviously go on to survive the second half. But things obviously were already starting to take shape as far as this being an absolute uphill battle for the U.S. A lot of people pointing out maybe they should have been a little more forceful, a little more attacking, a little more aggressive. I don't know. I've kind of felt like they kind of had themselves pinned back for portions of it because Belgium is just a very good club that's very fast and very talented. And you got Lukaku and De Bruyne and all those guys. So I don't know how much of that would have changed. The big thing, obviously, in the first half, Fabian Johnson coming out with injury. Yedlin coming in. I liked it. DJ didn't. Let's have the halftime talk that we had here, where we kind of don't see eye to eye on the Yedlin-Fabian Johnson switch.
Welcome back, Cincinnati. What do you think of that first half? We have survived so far a contentious first half.
It could have been better.
It could have been better, but it could have been way worse. So we want to do, as always, thank everyone for coming out today. We got a huge crowd out. You guys have done nothing but grow, been awesome all the way through. Thank you so much for your support so far. But we do want to take a moment to thank some of our sponsors for making this happen. So I'm going to start off with Hoist. Hoist have a tent right at the back of the square next to the Cincinnati Saints square.
Right there, that's Hoist.
Hoist is a perfectly isotonic premium hydration beverage that hydrates you faster than anything on the market. Yeah, that's science.
Science.
Stop by the Hoist tent to grab a sample and cool off with a cold Hoist.
They got samples.
It's hard. Yeah, I know you can rehydrate.
Don't do that. Don't drop that on us. Our insurance doesn't cover that. Cincinnati football. That is a combination, if you didn't know, of golf and soccer. Football. It is coming to Cincinnati this July. So this month it is coming. Check out the Cincinnati football tent. They're over there, I believe. To learn more about the second best sport in Cincinnati, go to Foot Golf Cincinnati to learn more.
Also, want to make sure we're saying a shout out for Western Sports Mall. Western Sports Mall also have a tent in the back, right next to Hoist, right next to Taste of Belgium. Western Sports Mall has been around for a long time, a great place to play your indoor soccer and a number of other sports over on the west side. If you're interested in any pickup games, want to find a league, definitely stop by that tent. They'll be able to help you out.
Let's be like this guy and blow your hamstring. 32 years old.
Yeah. Hey, I'm still making it at 32.
Ladies, stop by the Blow Dry studio booth to learn about Cincinnati's first exclusive Blow Dry studio and receive free service from their braid bun and ponytail bar. Blown is located on Montgomery Road across from Kenwood Town Center. That again is Blown.
Yeah, we also want to thank the good folks, despite the fact that they're Belgian, for bringing this out. The Taste of Belgium back there providing free waffles for people today. Glad to have them waffles.
We're calling them Freedom. They're Freedom Waffles today.
Freedom Waffles.
Today, Taste of Belgium is doing Freedom Waffles. Go try those.
They're chicken and waffles to die for.
Freedom Waffles.
Freedom Waffles on today at least. Also, of course, need to make sure we're giving a big shout out to the Cincinnati Saints. The Saints are the ones who have helped to organize this alongside of Hoist. Obviously, they are the ones we're wanting to get you guys out to see. This isn't just U.S. soccer here in town. We do have our own professional team. Come by and check us out at Starville Stadium over at Taft High School in OTR. We're going to have a game here in just a couple weeks. The Lady Saints will be playing on the 5th of July at 5 o'clock. And then we'll also have a double header the day of the World Cup final, both before and after the World Cup final, so definitely check that out.
We also want to thank the folks that helped put all the things on right here at Fountain Square. That's our friends at 3CDC. And guys, not only are the Taste of Belgium giving out Freedom Waffles today, there is a friendly wager going on with us at the Saints and them at Taste of Belgium. If the U.S. win, Taste of Belgium, Taste of Freedom is going to make the Saints breakfast. However, if something horrible happens and that's not the outcome, we don't want that, but if it happens, the Saints will clean the restaurant. So we really need that to not happen.
Big stakes. I'm not cleaning anyone's floors.
I'm doing so.
I will
take that breakfast.
Yeah, I would love a free breakfast.
I'll redeem a victory.
Yeah. So again, thanks for all of our sponsors for making this happen. We're very appreciative. Definitely stop by their tents, check them out, see what they're all about, and learn more about what they can give for you. So Jeremy,
yes,
let's get down to the soccer that happened in that first half.
Brass tacks here.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts? I mean, I think we talked about this a little bit already.
Well, we had a little debate here. There was something huge happen in the first half. You see it as a huge blow to the U.S. soccer team. How can we ever overcome? I see it possibly as a blessing in disguise. Fabian Johnson going down. You see that as a huge hit to the defense.
So I think it is a defensive hit. Johnson is a guy who obviously pushes forward more often than not. But what we do have to worry about with that is he is actually a guy that provides a good defensive wall. And though he is kind of a little bit more offensively focused, Yedlin does not exactly offer that same defensive cover.
I agree that Yedlin doesn't offer a defensive cover, but Yedlin is an absolute spark plug off the bench.
That he is.
He has been dynamic both times he has come on. I think he can be we saw him immediate impact as he came on, creating corner after corner.
Yeah, I mean, it was clear that Belgium had prepared for Fabian Johnson. Every time he got forward, they were sending a man with him. When he went off, Yedlin tended to fall off the ball. Yedlin didn't. Belgium seemed to give him that space. And the one thing that Yedlin does have a lot of success with is actually service. He is great at serving a ball in.
Amazing service. Yeah, you're right. Belgium gave him way too much respect, way too much room. I don't know if we'll continue to see them letting him just go run unchecked down the far side there.
Yeah. I agree entirely. We'll see if Wilmots and his boys will actually adjust to that a bit. But on top of that fact, I think the U.S. did a good job weathering the storm. We saw why Jurgen made the lineup that he chose. Jeff Cameron, sitting in that midfield, has been humongous for them on set pieces. And they've given up loads of those set pieces. So bringing in that extra height, playing another tall defender in there like Gonzalez, has definitely been a strategy that's paid dividends for us. That said, we cannot continue giving up this many set pieces.
The set pieces, yeah, those numbers cannot continue to climb. I mean, that's kind of been one of the weaknesses all tournament long, was just giving up these free kicks, giving up these set pieces over and over again against a team like Belgium. And, you know, God help us, if we make it on against a team like Argentina, you cannot allow that to happen.
No, I mean, you absolutely can't. And Belgium are a side that have looked extremely dangerous when cutting in. I think that's the one thing we need to watch repetitively. You watch guys like De Bruyne, Hazard, that will get it wide and then cut it into those inside positions, and have really found those dangerous chances. And luckily, Tim Howard has been up to snuff so far. We've seen him come up to the challenges that he's been presented, but we can't expect him to just bail us out time after time. So a little bit more of, what's the word I'm looking for? We want to be a little bit more precise in those attacks.
Yep.
A little bit more accuracy when we're actually in possession is going to do us a lot of work and force Belgium to actually track back and recover against us. So hopefully we see more of that in the second half.
All right, guys. Where are the guys that were going to do our chant for us? Where are they going? Hey, come on.
I believe chant last time. Yeah, I'm fired from it. So this time, this guy here is telling me I'm going to back out. So we're going to look.
That's why he's swinging it.
All right, well, that was it. Not the ending we wanted, but at least a good showing all around. We made it through the group of death. Surprised a lot of people just by doing that. A lot of critics, a lot of pundits, a lot of people even within the U.S. soccer media community proven wrong by those 23 men and Jurgen Klinsmann. Pretty awesome. That'll do it for us on this edition. Not sure what our plans are for the final. We're still trying to figure that out, so keep an eye on Twitter. I'm sure DJ will have the plans out whenever we figure that out. Have a couple questions before we wrap things up. First one comes from Mel B, who was down there at all of our watch parties on Fountain Square, and we were talking about this, and she kind of just wanted a little more on this one, but basically, the structure of qualifying, is there a benefit to the way CONCACAF does it with the hex and everything, as opposed to the way the UEFA does it? So I did a little bit of research on it, because some people were saying, hey, maybe CONCACAF teams are doing well this year because they can handle the heat and they can handle the crappy conditions that are just known, more commonplace in CONCACAF than in UEFA, where you pretty much, not always, but almost always playing in very nice state-of-the-art stadiums, regardless of what you're doing. So, and you're in a cool climate. So, did some research on this one. Basically, it comes down to this. So, if you look at CONCACAF and UEFA, are kind of the two that we're going to compare here. So, CONCACAF setup is basically 4 levels. US don't come in till teams like the US and Mexico and Costa Rica, they don't show up till the third part of this. So it's kind of like the FA Cup, where the actual big clubs don't show up till the third round. Same thing here. So the first 2 rounds, the first round is literally the Carnival Cruise Line round, where the Virgin Islands and Belize and Turks and Caicos and Aruba and all these places that you would go to on a cruise ship are entered into this little quick knockout system, and they're hashed out that way, and then the remaining teams go into another group, and you bring in Canada and Panama, and then you have you put those in groups and they play, and then you have the groups that we know about. So you have the 3 groups that they set up for the second to last group, so the setup before the heck. So there's seeding for that, and there's a pool, and it's selected, and then you play your matches. U.S., they played, like Jamaica in Columbus. I was at that one. Then you go into the hex. So the hex is basically that last like 6 to 8 months of qualification leading up to the December drawing and all that stuff. And it's all 6 teams are vying for these 3.5 qualification spots, essentially is how it works. And everyone's fighting down to the end. So the flip of that is what UEFA does, where UEFA, you are in a million groups of 6, and then there's like one group of 5, which is weird because that means you play 2 less matches because that's one less head-to-head. So Spain and France, congratulations to you. You guys played 1 or 2 less matches in your qualification. But you basically are in that the whole time. You're in your group the entire time. So you start out in 2012 with these 6 teams, and then those 6 teams are still who you're fighting amongst come October of 2013. So the weird thing with that is the competition level is never really ratcheted up unless you're one of the second place guys at the end of October that then get chucked into that playoff that we saw where Ronaldo dropped those 4 goals on Sweden to knock Zlatan out of the World Cup, and you had Iceland nearly getting through against Croatia. And outside of that, it's just you and these 6 teams and your 10 matches. So you play 10 matches, and for most teams in UEFA, their qualification is really just those 10 matches, where for even the U.S., who, again, as I said, in CONCACAF comes around in that 3rd round, you're talking actually already 16 matches that they would play. If you had to play any more of those, or had to play like Mexico in that home and home with New Zealand, that's another 2, or another 4 or 6 before that. You could play up to like 22, 24 matches in CONCACAF, technically, on your route to Brazil, where UEFA, you're playing in a group of 6, and the other thing is with that group of 6, you're playing 10 matches, and while you look at Germany, they had to play, Sweden home and away, and they had to play Austria home and away, and then it was like, well, then you're playing Ireland home and away, and then you're playing Kazakhstan home and away, and then as far deep into it as like September, 4 matches or 3 matches left in qualification, you're playing the Faroe Islands. So you are stuck with this weird group where there's some high level of competition in teams like Sweden and teams like Germany, and then you're playing just the bottom barrel Faroe Islands all the way through. So it's different in the fact that the competition level really never rises. It's pretty steady, and if you're a club like Germany, you can win enough. I mean, they had 28 points. I think they beat out 3rd place by 11. No, yeah, 11 points. So they were done by like this time last year. They were pretty much wrapped up, and then they kind of just had to play out these final matches. So the structure, I think, in CONCACAF is much better as far as just that level of competition just continually rises towards the end. Yeah, you can be like the U.S. and you can qualify and wrap things up like the U.S. and Honduras did before they were done. But for the most part, you are talking about teams playing tooth and nail till the end, and you're thrown in that new pot there, right there at the end, that last 6 months where it's, here's 6 of you, basically just 4 of you are going to live, and you are fighting it out. So I don't know if that has something to do with it. It is interesting how different those two systems are for qualifying. I know that it did feel like UEFA's qualifying did not have the craziness and energy that CONCACAF, and especially down there at the end, the Hex did. Maybe that's just because where we live. Maybe that's just the fact that the format is much better. So, I don't know. Second question we had, and it was actually a question I got from a lot of people, were just wondering, like, where do we go from here? Like, all this momentum that the U.S. National team has created in this country for soccer, where do we go? What's the next step? Talked about it at the beginning of the show, and we'll dive into it as we get started with the EPL season. But there's that route, of course. There is the route of, start watching. There's soccer is a sport, as much as my wife always likes to point out, in a very negative sense on her end, that is always going on, and that's pretty true. I mean, when you're playing in leagues, when your domestic leagues last for the most part 10 months out of the year, and then you pretty much always have some kind of competition during the summer. Yeah, soccer is basically always happening. So you have all this stuff over in Europe that's very attractive, and we've mentioned it before that unlike in actual Europe, we have it pretty made as far as being able to get access to all of those games and all those leagues. So there is that. But I think the more important thing, the more vital thing that needs to happen is you got to start supporting your local team, and that doesn't matter really who it is. Here in Cincinnati, it's the Cincinnati Saints that I work for. We are NPSL, so we are, as far as the professional pyramid goes in soccer in this country, we're at the bottom. But you know what? We're something, and it's fun, and there's a great group and community that gathers around it, and it's from it, and it's so much fun to be a part of. Wherever you're at, you have something like that probably close to you. If you're in Dayton, Ohio, you have a USL Pro team. If you're in Columbus or near there, you have the MLS. If you're close enough to Ohio or to Columbus, you have the MLS. A lot of people in Cincinnati here follow the MLS very closely and follow the Crew very closely. If you are in Detroit, you have Detroit City. They're NPSL, but they have a fan base that rivals a lot of USL Pro clubs. If you're in Indy, you have brand new Indy 11 NASL and just the amazing things that those guys are doing over there. You have soccer wherever it is, and it's going to run the gamut from MLS to NPSL, PDL, NASL, USL Pro. No matter what it is, remember, this is your team. This is your club. You don't have to come up with a reason to like them. They're already yours. Unlike trying to figure out what Premier League to like. So invest in that, get involved in that, watch those matches, become a supporter, buy a scarf. I mean, for another reason, just to buy a soccer scarf. You can never have enough of those. Do that, get involved, watch as much as you can, and just enjoy it. Just enjoy it. Every week you watch, you're going to learn something new about this game. It's very intricate. It looks very basic on the surface, but the intricacies in the game of soccer is pretty amazing. It's like baseball in that sense, that there's just so much nuance to it. So yeah, I would say if you have a friend that's kind of his interest has peaked because of the World Cup, because of the U.S. men's national team, do what our friends of the free beer movement do. Offer to take him to a game or take him to a pub to watch a match and buy him a beer. So that's it for questions. I think I saw my little brother had a question about why people aren't talking about Tim Howard's beard. I think it's because beards are just so mainstream now that it's very normal. Any other decade, 6 years ago, if he had that beard, people would probably say, "Whoa, what is that on your face? Are you in a cult? Something weird. Is it alive?" I don't know. So, oh well. He loved it. He's a star. So, good for Timmy. He has become the star and the new face of U.S. soccer. I debated on who that was going to be. I thought it was going to be Diskerud. I thought it was going to be this person, that person, Beckerman, whoever. It's Tim Howard. It's Tim freaking Howard, and I couldn't be more happier. So, anyways, folks, that'll wrap it up for us. We will talk to you either right after the World Cup or like a week or so after that, because then we're basically right in the Premier League season. Like, it's right there. So, Community Shield, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. We kick off a new season. So, see you then, folks. Enjoy your summer. Bye.